Alison Parmar, who's the development manager of FSB in Kent and Medway. I mentioned earlier on, the Federation of Small Businesses aim is to help smaller businesses achieve their ambitions. And now more than ever, we need that to happen. Now more than ever, we need people like Addison, and we need the team at FSB Kent, Medway to all come together with us, like we have with your local delivery, and push these different initiatives and to push these different schemes to help smaller businesses get through these really, really tough times, which are, by the way, going to have an impact on business for ages. We've only just seen this week, actually, that small retail businesses are going to reopen. But the lasting impact is going to be bigger than just the lockdown period. It's not going to be like businesses open as normal, is it, Jack? Like next
No,
week.
exactly.
This is going to continue for a little while.
Yeah, it's going to be a real kind of phased thing, and also, you know, the number of people allowed in shops and the distancing and sanitizer and everything. I think it's going to be like that for some time.
It's going to be a little while before everything's back to normal. And that's why we wanted to get Addison on. We wanted to talk a little bit about the recovery process. And we also wanted to talk a little bit with Addison about what businesses can do now if they're searching and seeking for help out there. By the way, thank you for watching. Hit subscribe. I think Addison's just having a couple of technical difficulties, so we're just waiting for her to rejoin. Let's see if we can go over to Addison now. Hey, Addison. What happened? Technicalities weren't on our side there, were they?
You know, the fun of working from home and having 5 people sucking the internet dry. Yeah, sorry, I've just been yelling at them. Get off the internet, it's my go. Hi guys, nice to see you.
No, lovely to see you as well, Addison. Thank you for coming on. I know you're super busy right now because the SFB are doing all sorts. So I suppose let's start really simply with just getting a bit of an overview on what the Federation of Small Businesses and yourself have been doing for smaller businesses during this tough period, especially here in Kent.
Yes, so you're right, it's been busy, but that's our job, is to listen to and to represent small businesses. So kind of since Boris Johnson's first recommendation not to go to pubs, that was a tricky one, we've been working non-stop really to understand all the issues and bring case studies to national government and local councils. So that has resulted in things like the Sybil's coronavirus business interruption loan scheme, like the cash grants, like the bounce back loans, like the furlough scheme, like the self-employed income scheme. All of this stuff has been worked on by our policy advisors at head office, and we take in case studies from Folkestone, Dartford, Tunbridge Wells, and we put them all into the big national pot so that we can really help the government shape something that will really protect as many businesses as possible.
Yeah, because it's not easy. It's not easy, is it? Because there's so much new. This is going to sound really weird saying it like this. It really isn't the professional way to put it. But there's so much new stuff out there for businesses to have to do at the moment to stay afloat. So there's like schemes, there's grants, there's initiatives that they can jump on to sort of help them to be able to access that help. But it's being able to find it, isn't it? It's being able to understand it. And I suppose that's where you come in.
Yeah, absolutely. So a few right at the height of it, when it all really kicked off, we were talking to government day in, day out and updating our website twice a day with all the different announcements that are coming out, because obviously with 5.8 million businesses in the UK, small businesses, there's almost 5.8 million different scenarios. And your scenario is very different to the bakery down in Herne Bay compared to the mug shop in Cranbrook or what have you. So a lot of those businesses, it almost stretched the way that people were coping with it. So some firms adapted really quickly. They absolutely sprung on their initiatives. They created new products and new services. Others, a lot of them in hospitality industry, as you can imagine, in the pubs and restaurants. Jack's coughing nicely into his elbow there. Good job. A lot of them, that literally their income stopped overnight. So we had some businesses who managed to adapt so quickly and who will carry on and who will thrive, and others who are absolutely literally surviving and don't know their way out yet. We're talking about emerging out of the lockdown. A lot of businesses haven't got a clue when that might happen. The hairdressers, the pubs, the spas, all those tiny little businesses, the micro firms that make up so many of our little towns and villages across the county, don't know what that might look like and are seriously thinking whether it's going to be viable or not.
Yeah, and on that, and
really tricky.
It's going to be really tricky, and as you say there, and I've definitely seen it with my own eyes, there's definitely a push, isn't there, for COVID safe retail businesses to reopen in the coming weeks. Even a very short time frame really to be saying, yeah, you can do it now go do it. How are you seeing businesses react to effectively reopening for business over the next couple of weeks?
I missed that bit. The reopening. Sorry, Ben.
Yeah, sorry, no. So I was just saying that there seems to be a push for COVID safe retail businesses to get open as soon as possible. So how are you seeing businesses react to that?
Kind of a mixture. I've been talking to quite a lot of them. So the hospitality and pubs just can't. And not often it's about, if you've only got half your customers coming in the door, you can't afford to pay your staff or your suppliers. So it's not worth opening again. But others, the behind the scenes, some of the professional services, some of those sort of the digital side of things, they're going to be flat out, and they've already been really busy. I've seen some of the bids, the business improvement districts.
Yeah.
So certain towns have got them, not all of them have. It's like a town team. There's one actually in Tunbridge Wells, been really helpful, issuing a kind of back to work toolkit for firms that want to reopen, with those 2-meter floor signs with posters on the door about the number of customers that can come in. So some local firms will be able to download that from their bid and use that as their own little marketing. There's not one clear picture at the moment about how it's going to work. It's going to be a lot of wait and see, do your COVID risk assessment, think about actually you're going to make any money if you do reopen. How are you going to pay everyone? The cash flow thing, that's the point of it, isn't it? So, and equally, a lot of businesses are really concerned about the safety of their staff and the safety of their customers. They're not just going to go, oh, great, government said I can reopen on the 15th. Here we go again, put their A board out on the pavement. They're going to be saying, how can they keep their reliable workforce safe as possible, as they have been doing for these last few weeks? How can they make sure that their customers are confident? Because that's the other thing. Do you actually want to go walking around and having a mooch around the shops, or going to sit in a restaurant next to somebody? If you're not confident as a consumer, that business owner is not feeling that confident either. So it's really rocky. It's not a case of just reopening the doors.
Yeah,
So,
and punching lampshades. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, it's really interesting, isn't it, Alison? Because you hit on consumers there. For us, as a big thing as a digital marketing agency is and of course, Pip owns a couple of e-commerce brands as well. Is that consumer behaviour and also lead generation? There's going to be a huge change over the coming months, which will continue to have an impact on smaller businesses, isn't there? And that's not just about the lockdown period. That's going to be after, as you mentioned there. Who's happy to go shopping right now?
Yeah, but equally, we've seen a real love for local coming through in all of this, and people kind of reconnecting with what is in their local vicinity. So actually the fishmongers saying, okay, if you're not going to walk into my fishmonger shop, I'll deliver. And they're using their delivery van to bomb around the town. I know quite a lot of pubs who've just said, well, the pub's shut, but I'll fill it with smaller kegs. And they're using it as a storage room, and they're delivering. So there's been a renewed love of local and buying from those smaller firms that give you that real bespoke little customer care that you perhaps don't get with the really mega global firms. And equally, there's kind of talk about the environment and that changing way we're working. We're not commuting, we're not driving up and down the M2, we're not driving a long way to meetings. And actually people have gone, I can still be quite productive. So why should I therefore use this office space? That's put pressure on the co-working shared spaces that we know and love in Kent. But it's meaning that people are really revisiting what are their options and what does that future look like for their business and their staff. It's going to be interesting. There's some things that I know a lot of people will want to keep, that real local connections and that supporting those tiny local firms, and that adapted to workway. So maybe in the office a couple of days a week, or maybe maintaining a lot of this face-to-face element online with a good internet connection.
with a good internet connection, of course. It's the important thing right now, isn't it? We keep seeing more and more internet vans driving around, actually, like, hey, we've got super reliable broadband. Want it?
Yeah,
everywhere.
Give me a booster. Yeah,
exactly. Please, guys. So I wanted to talk a bit about some of the surveys that you guys have been doing, and I think the one that you've just released within the last couple of days, week or so, about New Horizons. Can you tell us a little bit about it and some of those positive impacts that have been made?
Yeah, and I, of course, haven't got it right in front of me because I've moved from one part of the house to another. But the best part was what I'm sure you'll have seen and heard as well. 57% of small businesses absolutely were helping out that local community. And they were actually, this is nationwide as much as in Kent, they were actually putting their vulnerable customers first, or the vulnerable community first. I can think of one, for instance, it's a kind of a gardening, they make stoneware for like Hever Castle and Kew Gardens and all that kind of thing. And they have a beautiful show place in Langton Green. But they were like, well, we can't have people coming in anymore now. But what we will do is take our phone orders, because a lot of their customers are a bit in the more mature age bracket. They might not want to use the internet, but they will phone you up and order that stone lion or urn for the garden. So 57% of the small businesses were thinking about their vulnerable customers and the older age groups and different ways that they could really support the community. I haven't got all the stats in front of me, but there was things like, 26% of small firms were donating to food banks. That's
amazing.
A quarter of small firms. Now, that could have been the restaurant industry saying, I've got all this stock, we can't let it go to waste, but immediately driving it down to their local hospital, or not a hospital, but I know a lot of them who gave to NHS key workers, but equally 27%, 26% giving it to their food banks locally as well. So there was not food wastage going on in the SME community. So that was really nice. And I think it was about 16% who've switched or adapted their product line. So they are making that kind of PPE, the personal protective equipment, whether that's masks or hand sanitizers. I've heard of a firm who doing vending machines. Now it's like a hand washing vending machine. So instead of getting your Diet Coke, you're washing your hands. I've seen a new product coming online about a temperature checker that you might be able to use in an office. So you walk past a screen and it'll figure out whether you've got a fever or not. So there's been a lot of businesses sort of pivoting, absolutely, for the benefit of all of us, for all of our good public health. And that's been really great to see.
Do you know the guy who I'm jealous of? The person who came up with the hand sanitizer units with a digital screen on them. Oh my God, what a brilliant idea, because from a commercial aspect, that is fantastic to be able to have an advertisement on a sanitizing station.
Yes.
Everyone's going to see it. Brilliant idea. That person's going to be a millionaire, whoever they are, whoever she is, they're going to be you.
Yeah, that's a good one. There's a nice, there's a local initiative going around you might have heard of, guys, the Make Masks UK.
Yes, yes.
You've heard of that one? So that's like somebody a manufacturing firm who usually makes curtains and blinds. Well, they've gone, actually, we can absolutely make non-medical face masks. So let's get sewing them. So there's been that switch as well, of people looking at what is their business and what equipment do they have that can benefit all of us in different ways. And that's been really good to see.
Yeah, pivoting. Some of the pivots that have happened have been truly remarkable, and definitely the ones that have moulded their business to help the further cause and the community, I think, are outstanding. Alison, where can people find the New Horizons piece that's out there from FSB, and where can people find you?
Yeah, so best place, and actually for things like the COVID risk assessment, a little checklist, fsb.org.uk. Go there, have a good look around. It's packed with information. You can find me, probably quickest way is FSB Kent on Twitter. So that's
amazing.
Nice.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Alison, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for taking out the time, and all the best with everything that's coming up in the coming weeks. And hopefully in the near future, we can get you on again to talk about some more positive things that are happening with businesses local to us.
Thanks for the invitation, and thanks for bearing with my internet. Cheers.
No problem at all, Alison. Thank you. Take care.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye, Alison. Bye-bye.